A family vacation to Michigan's Great Lakes should have been peaceful, but instead, it turned into a nightmare. At exactly 3 a.m., something slammed against their door. Shadows circled the house, and when the jester cards appeared, they realized someone or something was playing with them. This is the Lake House Horror. The sky over Michigan's Great Lakes was painted gold when the Sanders family arrived. Summer vacation had always been their way of reconnecting 18 relatives crammed into one rental house for a week of laughter, cookouts, and swimming. This year they booked a sprawling Airbnb by the water, a 2-story cabin with an extra building behind it. From the listing, it looked perfect. But in person, the second building wasn't a guest house, it was a garage, half converted into a bedroom. The cousins joked about it when they unloaded bags. Haunted shack, one of them called it, laughing nervously. Dust coated the windows, and the wooden door hung crooked on its hinges. Still, with so many people, someone had to stay there. 4 cousins, including 17-year-old Caleb, set their bags down on the sagging bunk beds. That night, after a long day of swimming and grilling, the lake house settled into silence. Everyone dozed off until the cousins in the garage awoke to a sound that ripped them from sleep. The garage door shuddered violently, as if something huge had slammed into it. Dust shook loose from the ceiling. Bang, bang, bang. Each hit was harder than the last, rattling the frame and vibrating through the floor. Caleb's younger cousin gripped his arm, whispering, "What is that?" It was exactly 3 a.m. The pounding continued for nearly a minute before stopping dead. No footsteps, no voices, just silence. The next morning, the cousins swore they hadn't imagined it. But when the adults checked, the garage door showed no dents, no scratches, nothing to prove what had happened. That day passed with forced cheer. The family tried to shake off the unease, but Caleb couldn't. He kept glancing toward the tree line behind the garage, where the woods grew dense and shadowy. He felt like someone was watching. That night, as he walked toward the garage, he froze. A man stood behind it, tall, motionless. His face was shadowed, but Caleb could feel his eyes on him. Caleb blinked and the man was gone, not walked away, not slipped into the trees, just vanished. Shaken, he told his cousins, but they didn't believe him, until they found something the next morning. On the kitchen table inside the main house lay a single playing card, a jester. Nobody in the family had brought cards. Nobody admitted to leaving it there. By the afternoon, 2 more appeared, one on a dresser upstairs, another tucked beneath a child's pillow. The cards unsettled everyone. They weren't just random, they felt deliberate, a taunt, a game. Still, the parents dismissed it as a prank. Probably one of you cousins trying to freak people out. But Caleb wasn't convinced. He could still feel the memory of those lifeless eyes behind the garage. The second night came. At 3 a.m. again, the pounding returned. This time, louder. The walls shook, the metal door groaned, and the cousins screamed for help. The adults rushed out, flashlights cutting through the darkness, but by the time they reached the garage, the pounding had stopped. Nothing was there. Back inside, tension crackled in the air. No one could sleep. That was when they heard it, footsteps crunching slowly across the gravel driveway, circling the main house, step, 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 around and around. Then the basement door rattled violently, as if someone was trying to force it open. Inside that basement, the youngest children were sleeping in makeshift beds. The parents bolted down the stairs, but when they reached the basement door, it was locked from the inside. No intruder, no one outside, just silence again. Caleb glanced at the floor near the door. His stomach dropped. Another card. The jester's grin stared up at him, mocking, and Caleb knew. Whatever was haunting the lake house wasn't human. The next morning, the family was quiet around the breakfast table. Nobody mentioned the night before, but everyone's eyes told the same story: nobody had truly slept. Coffee cups clinked nervously, kids picked at pancakes, and adults tried to laugh off their unease, but the tension was thick. Mika, one of the older cousins, finally broke the silence. "Who put the jester card on my pillow?" Everyone froze. She held it up, the same mocking face of the jester, grinning with painted red lips. Her father swore he hadn't touched it. None of the kids would admit to it, and yet, when the rest of the family checked their rooms, more cards appeared, one under the couch cushion, another tucked into a backpack, one taped to the basement door. By mid-afternoon, the cousins decided to investigate the garage. The old building felt heavier in daylight, as if the shadows hadn't fully retreated. The wood smelled like damp rot, and the single light bulb buzzed faintly above. They found nothing unusual, except for deep scratches carved into the inside of the garage door. 5 claw-like marks running down, as if something had tried to tear its way through. That night, the family tried to stick together in the main house. Nobody wanted to sleep in the garage anymore, but cramming 18 people into the Airbnb made the atmosphere unbearable. Still, they decided it was better than facing whatever was outside. At 3 a.m. sharp, it began again. The basement door rattled violently, shaking in its frame. The children sleeping upstairs screamed awake. The adults rushed down with flashlights, but the noise stopped as soon as they reached the bottom of the stairs. The door was locked from the inside, yet fresh jester cards had been slipped under it. Suddenly, footsteps thundered around the porch. Heavy boots circled the house. A cousin peeked through the blinds and froze. "There's someone out there," she whispered. The others crowded behind her. Out in the yard, a tall man stood at the tree line, unmoving. His face was hidden by shadows, but in his hand, he held a card. The jester's grinning face reflected in the moonlight. Before anyone could grab a phone or camera, the man stepped back into the woods and vanished. Panic swept through the house. Some of the adults wanted to call the police. Others argued no officer would believe them after all. What could they report? A creepy man with a deck of cards. Strange noises at night. But then, one of the uncles admitted something he hadn't told before. On the very first night, before the noises began, he had gone exploring near the lake. There, buried half in the sand, he found a tin box filled with old playing cards. They were warped from water damage, and every single one had the jester's face drawn over the original designs in red ink. Thinking it was trash, he threw the box back into the water. Now, everyone stared at him in horror. Had they awoken something by disturbing it? That night dragged on with no more sleep. Every creak of the house, every gust of wind sent them into panic. By dawn, they had made up their minds. They would pack and leave early. But when they opened the front door to load their cars, a final shock awaited them. The driveway was littered with jester cards, hundreds of them, scattered like leaves across the gravel. Each one was dry, crisp, and perfectly placed, as if they had been waiting all along. The family fled in a frenzy, piling into their vehicles and speeding away from the lake house. Nobody looked back until the Airbnb was miles behind them. In the safety of a highway rest stop, they caught their breath. Yet even there, something unsettled them. Mika checked her backpack and gasped another card rested inside, the jester smiling wider than before. For months afterward, the family exchanged nervous texts about the trip. Some burned the cards they'd found in their luggage, others kept them locked away. But no one could explain how the cards followed them home. One cousin swore she saw the tall man standing across from her college dorm one evening, watching silently before disappearing into the dark. Another claimed she woke up to find a card pinned to her bedroom door. The family had wanted a vacation filled with laughter and memories. Instead, they brought something home, something that mocked them, stalked them, and left them always glancing over their shoulders. To this day, nobody books Airbnbs near the Great Lakes, and none of them ever play with cards again. Because in their minds, the jester is still watching, and he's waiting for his game to begin.